project. I ended up calling it Look Into Life. And as you see, I basically did interviews and created a novella, which I'll go into. I'm not going to read you the entire novella, but I'm just going to go through some of the aspects of it and what I did. So we can click. So I read Winter in the Blood, and it's basically a story, a narrative story about a Native American, and just him trying to find himself. He really didn't have much of an identity of his own, really didn't have a grasp of who he was. So it's his story trying to find himself, and the character's never named. So, yeah. Next slide. So, I absolutely hated reading this book. It was just terrible. I dreaded every moment of it, but something that stuck out to me was at the very end of the book, he tells you all these things he did in his life, and at the end, he still says he felt detached throughout basically the entirety of his life. And that really got to me. I wondered why, after doing all this, why would you feel detached? So that created my essential question. What makes you feel alive? What makes you feel like you're taking part of this world, or everything that goes on? And I interviewed people about their own views on life and asked questions such as what makes you feel alive and what makes life worth living. So that's the cover of my book. I was going to try to make an ebook, but that didn't work out, so I just put it on PowerPoint and that's. So I have an introduction to a table of contents, introduction page you can go on. Introduction, basically, I was just introducing people to the book. I wanted to bring up this idea that throughout the book, it's just asking questions. It's not meant to answer them. It's meant to just get you to think about them. If you read the book, or if you look through the book and you completely disagree with what I said, hate it, it's poorly written, which probably is, but if you just hate it, but it gets you to think, then that's what I want. If you love the book, that's great, but it's really about getting you to stop and think. I scheduled it as 3 little stops in a road trip. So next. This is the quote. My project was based on the book Winter in the Blood, and this quote. And it says, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That is all." And 2 things really stuck out to me. This is first that there's a difference between living and there's a difference between existing. And that's something that really got me. And then that most people simply exist. And I wondered why. So if you go to the next slide. That basically summarizes what I said there. Next one. So first off, I decided to interview this character I created called Mr. YOLO. When I did this book and started putting it together, it was when YOLO was the biggest thing. That was the biggest media sensation about life. So you only live once lifestyle. It was before it wasn't cool to say, or it was before that everyone knew that was stupid and you shouldn't just do stupid things with that. But it was when it was cool and everyone wanted to just live it up. And so I found out that it basically came from the model by Drake. At least that's where I led. And I interviewed Mr. YOLO as a, step in for the media and just using the lyrics from that song. And I tried to be honest. So this is the interview. It's kind of how I structured my entire novella. It's just questions and the answers from other people. And I guess I'll just read one of them. What makes life worth it? Clubbing hard, effing women, there isn't much else to do. I'm a pimp with all these girls, and if someone has something to say, then well off with their head. Or what makes you feel alive? I'm the effing man. I'm feeling myself because I'm 25 years old and I'm sitting on $25 million. So that's just some of the things I got from it. And to sum it up, basically, from reading the interview and just listening to the song, I got that through Mr. YOLO's eyes, life is clubbing hard, being late, smoking, drinking, being rich, being famous, all of that. So, next slide. So, I wondered, I took my character's life and compared it to Mr. YOLO. And I found that basically he satisfied almost every single condition. I mean, he went around, he had sexual innuendos, like 25% of the book was about that. He got drunk, he partied, he did whatever he wanted. He didn't care what he said. He'd bring girls home into his parents' house. That wasn't, that was looked frowned upon, but he didn't really care. The only thing he was missing was he wasn't rich and famous. And if Mr. YOLO is right, if that's really all it takes to feel alive in this world, then Oscar Wilde, the person who said that quote, makes sense why everyone simply exist because everyone isn't going to be rich and famous. But can you go next one? Next one. Next one. But I disagree. The second stop in this book is my personal take. As I read this book, I hated it, and it got me thinking of why I hated it. So I interviewed myself and asked the same questions. So, next one. And this is something in the book, I'm not going to really get into it, but this is something that after doing this project, I really wish I would let myself go back and change, because after going through and doing these interviews and talking with other people, I just heard so many answers and heard so many ideas that I was like, wow, that really makes sense, or wow, that's really cool. I wish I could go back and change what I wrote, but I thought it'd be better if I didn't. So, something for me, I guess. What makes life worth it? For me, just being to help others makes life worth it. Also, seeing and knowing that there are people who are genuinely doing good things for others out of kindness. So basically, I base my existence on helping others, and that makes me feel alive. So, next one. Next one. And the third stop. This is what the bulk of my project basically consisted of, because I went out and interviewed, and that's how I based most of my development on these interviews with other people. I wanted to see what other people thought living was, and it was truly amazing. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, I'll read what makes you feel alive. So this is what other people say. Music. It captures the emotions of people. A song can relate to so many people in different ways. It keeps things in perspective, listening to different types of music from different lives. Music just connects me to the world. It allows me to experience a range of emotions and a range of feelings, and it's that experience that makes me feel alive. It's how I express myself, and being able to express myself really makes me feel like I'm living. Interactions with other people and friends also contribute to the feeling of being alive. Being able to share feelings like love and joy with others makes me have a sense of being a part of this world. I find satisfaction in other people's happiness. Making other people happy makes you feel alive. Also, being crazy with a lot of people, being able to go wild and be my true self, makes me feel like, wow, I'm here and I'm with who I want to be. Another one of the responses was just, they said, what makes life worth it? And this person said basically finding out and discovering people's culture, or how they believe they got on this earth, or just discovering that self-exploration that you can go within yourself or with the world, or just whether it be physical or spiritual, that makes life worth it. And I was just like, wow, that's really amazing. So, next one. Next one. So the final stop. So you have 3 stops, and then you have the final stop at the end of the novella. And this is where I basically pass it off to the reader of the book. So I say, there you have it. There's a look through life through Mr. Yolo's eyes, my eyes, other people's eyes. What do you think? Here are the questions for you to answer. Here are the questions for you to decide what makes life worth it, what makes life living, what makes you feel alive. And here's the tools for you to answer. And keep going.
Did you get messed up?
Yeah, it was supposed to come out in steps.
It's okay.
Alright.
You can explain what was
yeah.
supposed to happen, that's fine.
So go to the next slide. So before this was blank, I was supposed to ask, ask the audience, what is living? And I took and I googled YOLO, and right now, since it's afterwards, there's a bunch of reaction comments and pictures about YOLOing, but the ones that I found that I felt were true to the YOLO sensation when it first happened was partying, women doing crazy stuff, stupid stuff or silly stuff, and just as it says, we're here to go wild, just going this crazy, doing whatever, getting drunk, getting high, partying, whatever. And then I googled living and living life to its fullest. And next slide. And this is what I found, that being one of my favorite ones. Just people enjoying music, keep going, keeping living throughout obstacles, being in nature and majestic places, hang out with friends in the sunset. Just this overall life. And I realized that at least when I Googled living life to its fullest or living life, there wasn't a drop of alcohol, there wasn't partying. Instead, there was genuine spending time with friends and going out and doing things and making something of your life. So that's where I leave it. What do you think life is worth and what makes it worth living?